A decorator's table is placed centre stage. Tall John and Short John come bouncing in, wearing white dungarees over white shirts with ties. Short John has a bow tie, Tall John a loosely knotted black tie. They both sport bowler hats. They carry a pasting bucket filled with brushes and other decorating essentials. They doff their hats to the audience. Tall John goes over to the curtain and mimes knocking on a door. Ursula appears right. He doffs his hat to her. She comes forward. Short John doffs his hat. Ursula points out that she wants wallpapering done, and she wants it done quickly. She taps her watch. Tall John removes all the stuff from the bucket, hands it to Short John, who gives it to Ursula. Ursula leaves with the bucket. Tall John removes an expanding measuring tape from his pocket. He holds it up to measure an imaginary wall while Ursula returns with the bucket. That's the height of the wall. Ursula puts the bucket on the table. That's the height of the wall. He's just checking how tall it is. Then the tape snaps shut on his finger. He whacks Short John with his hat and shakes his finger. Indicates the bucket. Paste has to go into it, and it's mixed. This is imaginary paste. The bucket is placed down by the table. The wallpaper, which is also imaginary, is stretched out across the table and fastened at either end with two brushes. Out comes the expanding tape again. Short John takes it up to his end of the table, and a bit further, and a bit further, and that's enough, says Tall John. And it snaps shut on Tall John's fingers again. Tall John shakes his fist at Short John. Wants a pencil. Short John hands him something, which isn't a pencil. He lights it up. It's a cigarette lighter. Now comes the pencil from Short John. Tall John marks the wallpaper, hands back the pencil. Now he needs scissors. He mimes scissors. Short John hands him a pair of nail scissors. Tall John goes to cut with them, looks in disgust at Short John, threatens him, lifts up shears from underneath the table, and mimes cutting the wallpaper. Back go the shears. Tall John dips his brush into the paste bucket. And begins to paste the imaginary wallpaper. Suddenly his back is sore. He touches the back with his hand and bends down. Now Short John takes his place and begins to slap on the wallpaper paste vigorously. And more wallpaper paste, and suddenly it's in Tall John's eyes and it's all over his face. He wipes it off his face and mimes a gentle rhythmic movement with the brush. Tall John does so. And Short John holds the paper while Tall John falls into the bucket paste. He's on the floor. He heaves himself up to the table, threatens Short John, puts his bowler hat back on his head and stands. He nearly falls into the bucket again. Instead, he puts it under the table. And once more comes out the imaginary wallpaper. He wipes the paste off his forehead, and here comes the expanding tape. That's enough, says Tall John. And again it snaps shut on his finger. He puts it in his pocket. And now he needs the pencil again. Short John gives it to Tall John, who marks the wallpaper, licking the pencil first. He puts it in his own pocket. Now come the shears from under the table, and he mimes cutting the wallpaper. It's time to slap the paste on again. Well, Tall John does it very gently. Make sure Short John's hands are in the right place. He points out something else to Short John, and then while John isn't looking, he pastes his face. Short John is very annoyed, but together they lift the wallpaper and hang it against the wall. He needs a brush to make sure it sticks properly, and Short John gives it to him. Now Tall John dances, moving his hips from side to side as he waggles down the wall with the wallpaper brush. He hands the brush to Short John, who similarly moves rhythmically from side to side, swinging his hips. They return to the table and bend down, pick up another piece of wallpaper, which has to be measured with the expanding tape. Out it goes, that's the right length, and then very gently this time, Tall John lets it back in and it doesn't snap his fingers. He marks with the pencil and puts it back in his own pocket. He cuts the imaginary wallpaper with the shears, and once more out comes the pasting brush. Oh, he empties the rest of the paste onto the wallpaper. And they carry... Oh, this time it's Short John's turn to fall into the bucket, but he hasn't actually fallen over. His foot is stuck in the bucket. Tall John threatens him and then helps him out of the bucket. He mimes a cup of tea, and John goes over towards Ursula and mimes tea. Ursula comes in with 2 cups of tea. She places them on the pasting table. They smile at her. She points out what still has to be done. They say they'll do it when they've drunk their tea. Off goes Ursula. The men squat at the table to drink their tea. Short John turns on the radio and they bounce up and down. Then they come to the front of the table and start a little dance, high kicking their legs from side to side, linking arms, swapping, twirling, doffing their hats and bowing. They return to the table, squatting to drink their tea. They beckon Ursula in. She minds that the radio is far too noisy. Tapping her ears, they turn down the switches. Hand her the key, 2 cups of tea. She points to her watch. They're not doing it fast enough for her, and leaves with the tea cups, the empty imaginary teacups. One more piece of wallpaper is pulled out. There's no paste left. They tip the dregs of the paste onto it. Tall John minds being quiet about it. They lift the wallpaper round and stick it on the wall, attaching it with the wallpaper brush and the usual swinging of the hips from Tall John. Short John swings his hips as he attaches the bottom part of the wallpaper, but the top part is falling down. Tall John tries to hold it up. He mimes a nail. Short John hands him one. He hammers the nail into the top of the wallpaper and another nail in. Another nail is given to Short John. He gestures hammering it in, and it's hammered into the next piece of wallpaper. They stand back and admire their handiwork and gesture Ursula to come in. Ursula arrives with a folded newspaper behind her back. They indicate the work they've done. Ursula lifts the newspaper and begins to whack them. They rush off the stage. Ursula taps her watch with the newspaper. She is raging. She bangs on the table. She bangs on the bucket with the rolled up newspaper. Then she leaves. The men come swaggering back in. They lift the bucket and the brushes and rush off with it. But behind, little John holds another bucket. He's hiding it behind his back. Big John goes to get Ursula. She reappears with a rolled up newspaper and looks again at their handiwork. Short John upends the bucket on her head. There's a shower of sparkly bits, and Ursula cannot see. She's feeling for the table. Tall John goes behind her and pulls her backwards while Short John pulls the bucket off her head. Ursula's face is covered in paste. Tall John helps her to remove it. She wipes down her jumper. Tall John smiles, takes the bucket. She chases them off, brandishing the rolled up newspaper. They leave.